This time I'm going to print this pattern using Python, of course. Now if we look close enough, we can see that we have got 5 lines here. Okay, now you should have known if you have already watched my earlier episodes of this Python pattern printing series, that we consider each of these lines as rows. Okay, like this is the first row. If I simply consider the starting point from here, then this will be our first row, right? And if this is my first row, then this is the second row, this is the third row, this is the fourth row, and this is the fifth row. Now in this pattern, let me consider n equal 5. Okay, if the value of n is equal to 5, now you may wonder that whether you can use another variable like a, b, c, d, x, y, z, or anything else. The answer is yes, you can use any variable name you want. I'm simply using n for the convenience, nothing else. Okay, so I think I have clarified this part, why I am using n here. Okay, now one more thing, as the value of n, I'm considering the row number, and I am keeping the number of rows, how many rows I want to print inside the n variable. Okay, so as the row number is 5, we have printed 5 lines. Okay, and you can see that this pattern is kind of looking like pyramid, but in reverse order, right? So for the first row, we are printing 5 column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, and column 5. Okay, n equal 5. Let me write it down here for you. N equal 5 here. Okay, and the number of lines is also 5, right? Because we are printing 5 lines here. Okay, now which value we are printing in each rows or in each columns, you may say that. Now notice that this is the first row and we are printing 1. This is the second row, we are printing 2 each column. In each column we are printing 2 for the second row, and in the row number 3 we are printing 3 in each column. In column number 4 we are printing 4 in each column. In row number 4 we are printing 4 in each column, and in the row number 5 we are printing 5. Okay, so obviously we are printing here the value of each rows, starting from row 1 and ending at row 5. Okay, so we are printing the value of row. Now as this is you may say it as the reverse pyramid, so we are excluding some value here, right? Like for example, for the first row we are printing 5 1, for the second row we are printing 4 2, for the third row we are printing 3 column, for the fourth row we are printing 2 column, for the fifth row we are printing 1 column. Here we are getting a similar pattern for printing each values here. Can you tell me what this is? We are going reverse here. Okay, like for the first row we are printing how many numbers n has. This is row number 1, we are printing n times 1. This is row number 2, we are printing n minus 1 times 2. This is row number 3, we are printing n minus, let me repeat it again for you. This is row number 5, we are printing n minus 0 times 1. This is row number 2, we are printing n minus 1 times 2. This is number 3, this is row number 3, we are printing 3. For how many columns? N minus 2. This is n minus 3 and this is n minus 4. Okay, so if I simply code it down for you, then it should be like this. Let me keep it side by side for now. First of all, like earlier, n equal to integer input enter the value for n. The outer loop is for row, right? For row in, for I in row, sorry, I should write it like this. For row in range, it starts from 1 and it would end till n plus 1, and we are incrementing the row number 1 by 1. I mean 1 plus 1 plus 1, like this. So the default value is okay for us. Now for printing the column, for column in range, for each of the rows we are printing n minus something times column, right? Like for the first row we are printing n minus 0, for the second row we are printing n minus 1 column, for the third row we are printing n minus 2 column, for the fourth row we are printing n minus 3 column, n minus 3, 5 minus 3 equal to 2. Okay, and for the final row, I mean row number 5, we are printing n minus 4 column. So how can we write this? Let me create a temporary variable, and it the variable is getting initialized starting at 0. Okay, and after getting the row, let me increment it with 1 each time, and for the column in range, let me start it from 1. For column in range 1, and it will run till row plus 1, and what it will print, it will print the temporary variable, and I won't need any new line character after printing each element here, and I need a new line character after finishing printing a complete row. Okay, now if I simply run this code, value for n, let's say 5, 1 2 2 3 3 3 4 4 4 5 5 5 5 5. No, it doesn't look right. Okay, wait a minute, it's in the reverse order, right? So I don't have to increment it here, I need to decrement it, as it's printing the values in the reverse order. Okay, so let me write it down like this. It starts from n and it ends at 0. Okay, now what would happen if I simply run this code? Nothing happens. Fine. For row in range n comma 0, wait, I'm decrementing it, so let me use -1. I'm decrementing 1 by 1 each time. Temporary equal to temporary plus 1 for column in range 1 comma row plus 1. Then I'm printing the value of temporary variable, and I don't want a new line character. Okay, now I guess it should work. Ta-da, it's working. Now if I simply want a space, then I can do that like this, I suppose, right? It looks exactly like this: 1 1 1 1 1 2 2 2 2 3 3 3 4 4 5. Okay, so what I basically did here, I simply asked the value of n from the user, and I have assigned the value into n variable, and I have taken a temporary variable and I have initialized the value for the temporary variable at 0. And this is the outer loop for row. We are printing it in the decremental order, like from the highest to the lowest, right? Here we are printing the maximum columns, and here we are printing the minimum column. So in that way you can say that we are printing in the decremental order, right? So for row in range, it starts from number, I mean n, because you see n is 5 and we are printing 5 times 1 for the first row. So we are we are traversing the rows starting from the number 1 and it will end at number 0, and I am decrementing it one by one. 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. I mean, I'm indicating how many columns we are printing for each rows. For the first row we are printing 5 columns, for the second row we are printing 4 columns, for the third we are printing 3 columns, 4 columns, 5 columns. So in each column, starting from the beginning till the end, we are decreasing the columns, right? So this will be a decremental for loop. And here, as I am going to print the values from the temporary variable, and we initialized it at 0, but you see we don't have 0 in our pattern. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this till number n, starting from 1 till n. So I am incrementing the value of temp here, temp plus 1. For the first time it would be 0 plus 1, 1, so it will print 1 in the first row because we have initialized the column for loop, right? And the column is incrementing starting from 1 till row plus 1. Okay, and if I simply use backtracking here or manual tracing, let's see how it goes. For the first time, the value in row is 5 because we have given 5 here. So n equal 5, temporary equals 0, for row in range 5. Okay, temporary plus 1, 1, temp equal 1. So for the first time, the value of n would be 5, the value of row would be 5, and for the value of temp would be 1. Okay, and here in number in 5 number lines for loop for column, it starts from 1. Okay, so here column would be 1 till row plus 1, row 5, 5 plus 1. Then we are printing the temporary variables value, which is 1 here, and we want a single space after printing each element, and then we don't want any new line character here. Now after printing each rows, we want a new line so that we can jump into the next line and do our stuff like earlier, like this.